Hello friends, in last lecture we have discussed about different type of pollutions, right? In that we have discussed about air pollution, about water pollution, about soil formation and soil pollution. Today we are going to discuss about some of the important biochemical cycles, right? So in that, first we are going to understand about nitrogen cycle. So this is very most important topic for exam, nitrogen cycle. Now let's understand that what is nitrogen cycle, what is important of nitrogen cycle, in how many steps nitrogen cycles is divided. First of all, if we want to define the nitrogen cycle, we can define it like this, that nitrogen cycle it is a biochemical process. It's a biochemical process which transforms the inert nitrogen of atmosphere into usable form for living organisms. In short, nitrogen cycle is a process in which the inert nitrogen of the atmosphere it is converted into usable form like ammonia and amino acid. Now let's understand that how this process is done, how the inert nitrogen which is present in atmosphere get converted into usable form, right? And how we are using it. Okay, first of all, remember that this is done in different stages, right? As we will study that different stages, then we will use to know that how this nitrogen which is inert, which is not directly usable for organisms, is converted into usable forms. Okay, so let's start. First of all, what is the importance and what is this nitrogen cycle? So it's a biochemical process, right? Due to this biochemical process, right, which will be done in different steps. After that, the steps, it will be nitrogen fixation. Okay, let's discuss about the step. It will be nitrogen fixation, right? It will be nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, and denitrification. We are going to understand this whole nitrogen cycle in this way, right? In this steps. First is nitrogen fixation, then there will be nitrification, then assimilation, then ammonification, and then denitrification, right? In this various steps we are going to understand our nitrogen cycle. Okay, so let's start it from the nitrogen fixation. First of all, what is called this nitrogen fixation? See, nitrogen fixation is a process in which nitrogen is added into atmosphere, right? Nitrogen, it is added into atmosphere in different way, right? So let's try to understand. First of all, the atmospheric nitrogen which is inert, it is converted into usable form, right? It will be converted into ammonia, So let's try. First is nitrogen fixation. Here in nitrogen fixation, the nitrogen which is inert form, it get converted into ammonia, right? This is our inert nitrogen. It will get converted into ammonia. In nitrogen fixation, the inert nitrogen which is present in atmosphere, we know almost 78% of nitrogen is present in atmosphere, it will be converted into ammonia. During this process, right, during this process of nitrogen fixation, the inert form of nitrogen gas is deposited into soil from the atmosphere and surface water, right, mainly by precipitation. After that, that nitrogen, it undergoes a certain change, and this ammonia will get converted and it will get reacted with another one hydrogen, and it will form NH4 plus, and this is called ammonium ion, right? So the ammonia, it will get reacted with one hydrogen and it will convert into ammonium ion. So in nitrogen fixation, the inert nitrogen gas will be converted into ammonia, and later on that ammonia will set it in ammonium ion. The entire process of nitrogen fixation is completely by symbiotic bacteria which are known as diazotrophs, or it is also called azotobacters, and that is also known as rhizobium. So by this type of bacteria, diazotrophs, azotobacters and rhizobium, nitrogen fixation is done, in which the inert nitrogen will be converted into ammonia, and ammonia is usable form for organism. The bacteria, it consists of nitrogenase enzyme, and that have the capability to combine gaseous nitrogen with hydrogen, and it will form ammonia, right? So by this, the nitrogen and hydrogen, it will get converted into NH3, that will be our ammonia. Okay, so nitrogen gas and hydrogen gas will convert it into ammonia during the process of nitrogen fixation. So again, keep that in our mind, that nitrogen fixation is a process in which the inert nitrogen is converted into ammonia with the help of different symbiotic bacteria like diazotrophs, azotobacters and rhizobium. The nitrogen and hydrogen, in presence of different nitrogenase enzyme, this nitrogen and hydrogen will get converted into ammonia. See, this nitrogen fixation can be done in different ways. So let us discuss that in how many ways this nitrogen fixation can be done. See, nitrogen fixation can be done mainly in three ways. First is atmospheric fixation. We know that by the process of lightning, right, breaking of nitrogen into nitrogen oxide, during the process of lightning, nitrogen will convert it into nitrogen oxide, and that will be used by plants. So here we can say like this, that in atmospheric fixation, during the process of lightning, nitrogen is converted into nitrogen oxides, and it can be N2O, NO2, right? So, and this is used by plants. So see, in this plants, nitrogen is fixed, right, by the process of lightning. During the process of lightning, the nitrogen which is present in atmosphere will get oxidized, and that nitrogen oxide compounds, it is utilized by plants. So this is the first way that how nitrogen is fixed. The second way of nitrogen fixation, that is industrial. We know that during the process, the industrial process, in that the harmful substances, right, that will be released. Okay, in industry, by the Haber's process, we are also able to form ammonia. So here, in formation of ammonia, right, and this ammonia, it is used in different type of fertilizers. Okay, so ammonia which is used in fertilizers like urea. Okay, so it's a man-made alternative that aids in nitrogen fixation by use of ammonia. So in industry, by the use of ammonia, right, nitrogen and hydrogen, by combining of nitrogen and hydrogen, the ammonia which is produced in industry, it will convert it into fertilizers like urea, and these fertilizers are utilized by plants. So this way also, by industrial process, nitrogen is fixed into atmosphere. And the third process of nitrogen fixation, that is biological process. Now what happens in biological process? As we have discussed that this rhizobium, right, blue-green algae, they transform the unusable form of nitrogen into usable form, right? These nitrogen compounds, it will get fixed by such microorganisms in soil. So we can say like the bacteria like the rhizobium and other blue green algae, they use this nitrogen and they fix in atmosphere, fixed in soil. So this way also nitrogen is fixed, right? So see, the first step is our nitrogen fixation. What is the concept of nitrogen fixation? In the process of nitrogen fixation, inert nitrogen is converted into usable components like ammonia. That ammonia can be converted into ammonium ion. It is done by different symbiotic bacteria like diazotropes, azotobacters and rhizobium, right? It is done in three types: atmospheric nitrogen fixation, in that nitrogen is directly used by the plants, right? Second one is industrial, in that the ammonia which is produced, it will be used as a fertilizer like urea, and it will be deposited into soil. Third is biological process, means directly by blue-green algae or rhizopus, nitrogen will get fixed into soil. So this way nitrogen fixation is done. So our first thing is the atmospheric nitrogen, how it is fixed in soil. Now let's go for the second step. Our second step is called nitrification. Now what do we mean by this nitrification? Let's understand it. Nitrification. Okay. In this process, ammonia will get converted into nitrates by presence of different bacteria in soil, and these nitrates are formed by oxidation of ammonia with some bacteria, right? Let's understand it, how it is done. Again, it's a process in which ammonia is converted into nitrate by the presence of some bacteria. This ammonia which will convert it into nitrate, right? So it may convert into nitrite and then into nitrate. Okay, so let us understand that what happens here. See, nitrites are formed by oxidation of ammonia with the help of nitrosomonas bacteria. With the help of nitrosomonas bacterium, nitrites, it is formed by oxidation of ammonia. Later, the produced nitrites will get converted into nitrates. Okay, so how the whole process is going to be done, let us understand it one by one equation. Suppose if we have like this ammonium ion, this ammonium ion, oxygen is added, so it get oxidized into 2NO2 plus hydrogen plus 2H2O. Now try to understand this NO2, it will get oxidized into NO3 minus. Again, this is our ammonia. Ammonia get oxidized into, this will be our nitrites, and the nitrites will get oxidized into nitrates. Okay, so the process of converting ammonia into nitrates, that will be considered as nitrification. Okay, so in nitrification, ammonia is converted into nitrates. How it is converted into nitrates? First, ammonia will get converted into nitrites, and that nitrites will get oxidized into nitrates. Okay, after nitrification, we will have assimilation. We know that assimilation means to use, right? Primary producers like plants take this oxygen compound from soil with the help of their roots, right, which is available in form of ammonia, in form of nitrite ions. Okay, and it is used by them, and these plants are eaten by primary consumers. Or herbivores. So this way the nitrogen, it is used by plants from soil. They take ammonia or nitrites ion from soil. Plants take ammonia or nitrites ion from soils, and these plants are eaten by primary consumers, which is herbivores, right? The organisms which eat plants. So that nitrogen is also fixed in such type of animals, such type of herbivores. Now the another process, it is ammonification. We will first understand all of the steps, and then we will try to combine it. The another is ammonification. Now let's see what happens in ammonification. When plants or animals will get die, okay, so here we can see that when plants or animals they die, the nitrogen present in this organic material, it will release back into soil. So nitrogen, it will release back to soil. The decomposers like bacteria and fungi which is present in this soil will convert this matter back into ammonium. Again, here decomposers will convert this back, the nitrates and nitrites which is present here, it will convert, decomposers will convert into ammonium ion, and this process is called ammonification, means formation of ammonium ion by the decomposers. That is considered as ammonification, right? So this way ammonification is done. And the last process is denitrification. Now let's see what is denitrification. See, denitrification, it is the process in which nitrogen compounds make it way back into the atmosphere by converting nitrates into nitrogen. In short, nitrification and denitrification. In nitrification, we were converting it into nitrites and nitrates. Here it will be opposite. Here the nitrates and nitrites or nitrites, it will get converted into nitrogen, right? So this process of nitrogen cycle, it is the final stage, and this happens in absence of oxygen, right? This is done by different denitrifying species of bacteria. So it is done by denitrifying bacterial species, okay, like Clostridium and Pseudomonas, which will process nitrates to gain oxygen and give out free nitrogen as a byproduct. So in denitrification, nitrates, right, the NO3, it will convert it into nitrogen, right, into inner nitrogen. Now let us try to understand that how all these are interconnected with each other. Then and then we can find out the cycle, right? Okay. What is importance of the cycle? That we know very well, that the portion of ammonia and ammonium to balance it, to maintain it, it's very necessary. Now let's try to understand that how these all are interconnected with each other. Okay, so for that we will take out our first page, in which we have discussed the different steps like nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, denitrification and all. Now let's try to understand it. First we will have nitrogen present in atmosphere, okay? Now see, this nitrogen which is present in atmosphere, it is going to get fixed, right? So the first process will be our nitrogen fixation. During this process of nitrogen fixation, nitrogen will get into plants and into soil, okay? So nitrogen present in atmosphere will get into plants by the process of nitrogen fixation. Now these plants, it is used by what? It is used by animals, right? These plants are eaten by herbivores. It is eaten by animals. Again, nitrogen fixation, in that the atmospheric nitrogen, it is fixed in soil and it is utilized by plant. That plants are utilized by animals. Now see, this animals, they will convert that nitrogen, that nitrites, into ammonia. Also, when these plants will get decay, it will convert it into ammonia. So by plants, it will get converted into ammonia, and this conversion is known as ammonification. In ammonification, this nitrogen which is used by plants and animals, it will get converted into ammonia. This ammonia will later on get converted into nitrites, and after that it will get converted into nitrates. Okay, now let's try to understand this. When it is converted into ammonia to nitrites and nitrates, actually what is this process called? If we take it like this, from the atmosphere of nitrogen, it is our process of nitrification. So this whole, we can say that it is a nitrification process. Okay, this nitrification process, in that we can convert the nitrogen into nitrites and nitrates. In this process, directly the atmospheric nitrogen, it will convert into nitrites, not only by plants and animals and this ammonification, it is also done there by atmospheric and industrial fixation. Now all of the nitrogen which was utilized is now converted into nitrates. From this nitrates we want it back into atmosphere, so that process will be our denitrification. By the process of denitrification, these nitrates, it will get converted into nitrogen back. So this way the whole cycle is done of nitrogen. Again, let's repeat it again. The nitrogen which is present in atmosphere, the nitrogen which is present in atmosphere, it will get fixed in plants, and that plants are eaten by animals. So the nitrogen which is inert nitrogen, it will be utilized by plants and animals. These plants will convert it into ammonia, and the animals will also get converted into ammonia. So that process is our ammonification process. Nitrogen fixation, right? Ammonification process. In this ammonification process, that ammonia, it will get oxidized into nitrites and nitrates. Also directly from the atmosphere, that nitrogen by atmospheric or industrial process, that inert nitrogen will get converted into nitrates. So that is also considered as nitrification. So nitrification process, it is done directly from nitrogen to nitrites of atmosphere, and it is also done by plants and animals from the ammonia which they have produced into nitrates and nitrites. Now from this nitrates and nitrites which is produced, it will go by the process of denitrification. Denitrification means from this nitrates and nitrites, oxygen will get removed, right, and it will convert into inert nitrogen. NO3 will get convert, nitrates means NO3 ions which get convert into nitrogen in the process of denitrification. So see, it start from the inert nitrogen, it is passed in whole of the system, and we get back dinitrogen, okay, the inert nitrogen. So this way our nitrogen cycle is completed. See, at the first thing is that we have to understand its steps, and then we have to do its interconnection, then we will be able to do it. Similarly as nitrogen cycle, now let's discuss about carbon cycle. In carbon cycle also, that carbon will get deposit in atmosphere in different way, and it is going to utilize in different way, right, and that cycle is going to continue. Okay, so let us understand that how carbon cycle works. First of all, we know that carbon, it is very important element on earth. It is in various form like diamonds, right, graphite, also in form of coal, and the food which we eat, it's also a different type of carbonic compounds, right? So carbon is present in large portion and in many combined states. It is found in carbon dioxide form in atmosphere. Generally we know that this carbon, it is in form of carbon dioxide in atmosphere. Also this carbon, it is in form of carbonates and bicarbonates, or it is called hydrogen carbonates. It is in form of bicarbonates and hydrogen carbonates in atmosphere, right? Okay, all this plus the components which is called life based components, right, on which the living organisms are dependent, such like proteins, then carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acid, and different type of vitamins or vitamins. These is also, in this also carbon is present. Also carbon is present in endoskeletons and exoskeletons of different animals, which is formed from carbonate salt. Okay, see, generally this carbon, it is utilized by the process of photosynthesis. We know in process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water, it is used to form food by plants. Okay, so generally this carbon, it is used by the process of photosynthesis. Okay, in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it will get converted into food, right? This process converts the carbon dioxide. In the process of photosynthesis, our carbon dioxide will be converted into molecule of glucose. Now see, glucose, its formula is C6H12O6. So from carbon dioxide we will get glucose by the process of photosynthesis, and these glucose, it provides energy to different tropic levels of our environment. Okay, this glucose, it is utilized, right? This C6H12O6 means our glucose, it provides us energy, right? This glucose, it provides energy to different organisms. Okay, and by the process of respiration, this will convert back, this glucose, it will get convert back into carbon dioxide. So see, carbon dioxide with the process of photosynthesis, it get converted into glucose. This glucose, it is utilized by the body, it is getting oxidized and will get converted into carbon dioxide. Let's take this simple example. See, carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere, it is utilized by plants. If you want to understand it, we can say that carbon dioxide, it is used by plants and it prepares the food, right? Now see, these plants are eaten by animals. Carbon dioxide used by plants prepare food. Food means here we will say it is glucose. This glucose, means these plants are used by the animals. Animals, they obtain energy by oxidation of glucose, and that oxidation of glucose will result this glucose back into carbon dioxide. See, so this cycle continuously go. The carbon dioxide, it will get back into atmosphere. Okay, and it's very simple that we are taking glucose, we are eating the plants, we are herbivores, so we are eating it, we are taking nutrients from it, right, during our process of respiration, right? So we are throwing out the carbon dioxide, we are taking oxygen, and we are taking plants. So plants means it's food, it's glucose. That glucose, when we inhale it, right, so oxygen which we take inside our body, it will react with this glucose and it will create carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide we are throwing out with the process of exhalation, right? So it get back into atmosphere. Okay, also there are some different process by which carbon dioxide is released. Out of that, one is combustion of fuel which we use in automobiles, right? So the fuel which we use, in that also carbon dioxide is released into atmosphere in process of our daily process of cooking, transportation, and also some industrial process. Okay, by this carbon dioxide, it is released back into atmosphere, right? So this is the simple concept. Okay, see, the carbon dioxide which is released into atmosphere, there are many ways that carbon dioxide will be released, but the utilization of carbon dioxide, it is only done by plants. Okay, we can release carbon dioxide with the industrial process, by automobiles, by different heating process and all, but the carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere, it is only and only utilized by one way, and that is plants. Now let us try to understand it in form of cycle. Okay, as we will try to mention its cycle here. First we will take carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere. So see, here we are having carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere. This carbon dioxide, it is utilized by plants. Suppose we call it as our organic materials. Now see, this plants, by heating it, it will get converted into coal, right? So it will get converted into coal. Again, this plants only, when it is buried for a long time, it will create petroleum. Again, this plants, it is used by different animals, right? So the plants, it is eaten by animals. These animals, it will be there in form of different inorganic carbonates, in form of different inorganic carbonates. See, from this animals, right, when it will get decomposed, it will get break down, so it will release carbon back to the atmosphere, right? So even the plants get decomposed, it will get carbon dioxide back to atmosphere, or the animals get decomposed, right? So when the process of decomposition is done, carbon dioxide will be released into atmosphere. So carbon dioxide of atmosphere, it is utilized by plants. Plants, it may convert into coal, petroleum, or it is used by animals. These animals, when they get decomposed, so they will release carbon dioxide back into atmosphere. The cell, right, the outer layer of animals, it will be different type of inorganic carbonates. The carbon dioxide which is present in atmosphere, right, it can be in form of carbonates also. Okay, so it may be in form of different type of carbonates in water, and generally that carbonates are limestone, that is CaCO3. Okay, so this way the carbon cycle works. So this circle, right, this cycle, it continuously happens. Again, to release atmosphere in to release carbon dioxide in atmosphere, there are many ways, but to utilize that carbon dioxide, there is only and only plants that they are utilizing carbon dioxide. Okay, so this way carbon cycle is completed.